Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Dawn of Drones podcast. We have such an incredible episode lined up for you today as part of our Best of 2021 month here in December, sponsored by Sagetech Avionics. I'm calling this Industry Musings, and what we've done is we've gone out and we've grabbed some industry leaders, and when I say some, I'm talking about 12 that are going to come in here and talk to us about what they believe was the best development in the industry in 2021 and what their prediction is for 2022. So grab your coffee, grab a chair, and get ready for an amazing ride. Fly safe. Hey everybody, it is such an honor to have here with us Lisa Ellman from Hogan and Lovells. She's this incredible attorney. She's also involved in the Commercial Drone Alliance and one of the movers and shakers in the industry. So what a privilege to have you to talk with us here today, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Dawn. It's so great to be with you.
Absolutely. So, again, this is the best of 2021. So I'm going to ask you the question I've asked everybody so far, which is, as you reflect on this past year, what would you say is the best development that happened in the industry?
Yeah. Well, as you know, Dawn, and as your listeners well know, kind of the, what we really need to scale drone operations here in the United States is approval of expanded operations. That includes beyond visual line of sight, the ability to fly near cities, overpopulated areas, that kind of thing. And so, we're all believers in this industry, right? We know drones offer countless environmental benefits and safety benefits and national security benefits and health and other benefits and equity benefits, but we can't get there, and we're not actually able to provide those benefits to the American people until we get these expanded operations approved by the FAA here in the United States. And so I think, from my perspective, I think, this is a regulatory issue, a policy issue, not a technology issue. And so I really see the incremental move toward expanded operations that we have seen this year as a positive step forward. We saw the remote ID rule be finalized, the ops over people and night rule be finalized. And now, of course, we have the Beyond Visual Line of Sight Aviation Rulemaking Committee, of which I'm serving as an industry lead, working on market drivers. What does this industry need in order to be able to scale? What do we need to be able to see in a Beyond Visual Line of Sight rule in order for this industry to really truly be able to take off? And so, from personal experience, I can say there's been lots of late nights and early mornings and long hours spent as part of this arc. And I'm excited to see kind of next steps there and what comes out of it. Beyond that, I would say it's really just been a time of transition here in Washington. As you all know, there's a new administration, and so getting a lot of the political folks and federal government folks up to speed. And Commercial Drone Alliance is, of course, a resource in that respect, and we look forward to continuing to work with the federal government to open the skies to commercial drones.
Yeah, it's a constant educational effort. I mean, it's just never ending, honestly. We were just talking about that with Ernest Huffman in the regular podcast this past week. But, and you're super humble, Lisa. I mean, for everybody out there, if you didn't know, I mean, Lisa's been so pivotal in obtaining incredible waivers and approvals for lots of clients like American Robotics and some of that beyond visual line of sight. So if there's, ever a person that should be leading the industry lead for the BVLOS ARC, it's Lisa. So I can't wait to see also. And that's a great transition to question number 2, which is, what's your projection for 2022?
Well, first of all, I appreciate those kind words about the waivers and exemptions. I'm just so glad and lucky to be able to work with innovative clients who are working to move all this forward for our industry. So, I love my job and very passionate about all of this, and appreciate the opportunity to work with great folks like yourself as well. So, we are very much gearing up for an incredibly busy 2022, an important year for drone integration from my perspective. And there's so much on the horizon. As you all know, the next FAA Reauthorization Act is in 2023, but the work to essentially draft that new law starts now, or is essentially already started. We've already started CDA, and has already had some meetings with the Hill about FAA reauth and what makes sense for that piece of legislation. And so, gearing up for the FAA reauthorization. As you know, drone security is an important piece of the integration puzzle, and the Preventing Emerging Threats Act is up for renewal in October of 2022. And so that's another important topic that will be is being discussed both within the executive branch, the legislative branch, and with all stakeholders. So that'll be another thing that is really important for our industry. And of course, speaking, mentioning the ARC, we expect a proposed rule on beyond visual line of sight. We expect potentially a proposed rule on Section 2209, implementing Section 2209, which was the 2016 provision that requires the FAA
infrastructure. Yeah,
exactly, to provide fixed site authorities. So, we hope to see additional engagement from the political staffers, including at the White House, with a new CTO in place. So there is just a ton going on in DC, lots to keep us busy, but a lot of really great work that's happening, and look forward to working with you and others to move our industry forward.
Well, I love that. Thank you so much, because honestly, of all our guests, you've really provided that kind of DC insider perspective that no one really ever else covered. So thank you for that. And you mentioned next year and working together, and I'm super excited for Exponential and my kicking off my first Law Tech Connect workshop and having Lisa as one of our moderators. So more information to follow on that registration, hopefully in a couple weeks, or at least in the new year. So thank you so much. Looking forward to working with you, Lisa. And thank you again so much for taking this time. And I just also wanted to wish you a happy holidays and an amazing new year.
Thank you so much. You as well, Don. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here with you.
Awesome. Thank you. Hey, Tom, great to see you again.
Hi, Don. Good to see you as well.
So everybody, this is Tom Furey, CEO of Sagetech Avionics, and he's joining us here to talk about what he believes was the best development in the industry in 2021.
Okay. Well, Don, we focus on the safety and integration in airspace. So things that I look at and what I've seen is a remarkable increase, I'll say, in the miniaturization of capabilities from large aircraft to enable drones to be fully equipped small aircraft. So examples of that around autopilots being smaller and redundant and having more capability, satellite communication radios becoming smaller and suitable for small aircraft, so we can get to that holy grail of beyond visual line of sight flight. And in our case, we launched and were certified at the beginning of this year with a miniature IFF, Identify Friend or Foe transponder, which now, with every country in the world having access to technology similar to what we have, is super important, because in the military world, enemy drones look just like and sound just like and smell just like friendly force drones. IFF had always been a capability that was cinder block sized and too much power consumption for small drones. With this miniaturization of technology and electronics, we launched a product that's the size of a deck of cards rather than a shoebox, and brings that capability to small drones. So I would say we were part of it, but overall the miniaturization of electronics and capabilities for drones so they could be equipped like large aircraft.
That's awesome. It's going to be so interesting, because I think, Tom, we've got a series of speakers giving their perspective, and I love the different perspectives that you're bringing to this. I love how you just focused really on the technology and what Sagetech has been doing this year. So thank you so much. What's your prediction for 2022?
My prediction for 2022 is going to be that we are finally, I think, going to see some routine beyond visual line of sight flight. I think the simmering cauldron and the hype associated with it, something we've all been waiting for. We all know that in the civil world, for unmanned aircraft to really provide the benefit that we expect to provide, they need to be able to fly beyond line of sight. and operators need to be able to operate multiple aircraft, or they need to operate autonomously. And I think we're going to see some of that next year without requiring an individual waiver. I don't think it's going to break loose. I don't think the floodgates and the dam will break loose, but I think we'll see a combination of rulemaking, the results of the BVLOS ARC, and then I see we'll see technologies being released. We expect the FAA to release the ACAS SXU MOPS, which is the fundamental for detect and avoid for small unmanned aircraft. We'll see continuing evolution of different technologies in command and control that will enable it. And those two technologies and the rulemaking from the FAA, I think we're going to see, or we won't see, there will be aircraft flying beyond line of sight that the operators won't see, that will be operating routinely in the commercial airspace.
Well, fingers crossed. And in the meantime, Tom, happy holidays. Thank you again, and Sagetech so much for sponsoring this Best of 2021 month. And can't wait to see what happens in the new year.
My pleasure, and neither can I. I think next year will be even more exciting than this year was.
Absolutely. All right, out here. Hey everybody, I'm here with the fabulous Bronwyn Morgan from XeoAir and also Airversity. She's doing all kinds of amazing things this year. Bronwyn, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
Well, listen, you've been doing amazing things this year. As you look out at across the industry, what would you say was the best development in 2021?
Well, to be honest, this is probably not a super big one, but I'm excited about the ability to begin to fly over people. And I'll sneak in night ops too, without having to get a waiver. Now, we've got a long way to go on flight over people, in terms of the categories and certification of the integrated equipment. But I think that's the beginning of allowing us to do a lot more in the industry 24/7, if you will. And it's really a step towards BVLOS. And, this is what we've all been waiting for advanced inspection, delivery, all the things that everybody expects from the industry. So, while it's a small step, I think for me, those were two really big wins for the industry in this year for 2021.
Well, I love that because, other people have talked about this a little bit, but they framed it up in terms of the rule, whereas you really framed it up in terms of, hey, I'm a pilot and this is actually like, I'm actually flying now because, so that's awesome. So thank you so much. So what do you predict for 2022?
Well, I think some of our biggest advancements will, and hopefully will be in equipment. As I'm starting to see more RTK integration, 5G enabled, better onboard autonomous systems. I think that, equipment is where we're going to see is a big splash in 2022. I think as we also get improved, and this is a slow one, it probably won't be 2022, but fuel cells and capability, that will be even more exciting. But I think we're going to see a very exciting year around equipment, including, additional micronization of sensors. So that's what's got me excited. I just bought a new bird yesterday, and I'm looking forward to us, building up our fleet as a company. So it's all about equipment for me right now.
I love it. That's so awesome, and I can't wait to see what you do next year. I mean, like I said, you were just amazing to watch as XeoAir grew and you stood up Airversity. So good on you. I know you had a banner year, and I know you're going to have an even bigger one next year. I just want to say thank you so much, and happy holidays and happy New Year.
Same to you, Don. Thank you so much, and really appreciate all that you've been doing with the Dawn of Drones, and looking forward to what you're going to bring us in 2022.
Awesome. Thank you, lady. Out here. Hey, everybody. We have with us Jon McBride from Autel, and he is on site in Florida with the Dragonfish doing some cool stuff, working out of his car because, as we know, Jon is a busy guy. So, Jon, thank you so much for taking a couple minutes with us here at the end of the year.
Absolutely. And thank you for the invite. It means a ton to me. So again, thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. So, Jon, tell us what you think was the best development in the industry in 2021. And I know you're just going to
Ooh,
say, "Oh,
that's a tough one.
the dragonfish."
Well, I will absolutely say, and I'm not gonna, it actually made me change my job. I mean, realistically, I was running ARM US as an owner. I saw the innovation of the product. I was at a point of transition for me, but to really jump on board with Autel and see this dragonfish and see the capabilities of what it could do, change how we are doing ISR applications, wildland fire, any public safety stuff, Overwatch. I mean, I was truly impressed by this. And I've been in this industry for 20 years, and it's hard to impress this guy. I mean, it really is. So I will definitely say I was impressed by the hardware, impressed by the capability. And I changed jobs. I'm the director of training, and I've been highly focused on this product, trying to make sure that people understand why it was designed, and how it will impact. So
That's awesome. Well, I can't wait to see it. I know you were out here in Colorado, up at CSU in Fort Collins, and I just couldn't make it that day, but maybe 2022, which is a great segue. What do you predict for 2022, Jon?
I think the big one is going to be regulation. I really want to see like how laws are going to be coming on board. I talk about it often in Clubhouse of how our holdup sometimes seems to be regulation. We have a lot of people that are not sure about what to purchase in some cases because of regulation. They're not sure what to do as far as a job because of regulation. They're just left with I'm not sure. And when that happens and there's not a clear path, well, then we get a little bit caught up on, well, maybe we should just wait. Maybe we shouldn't do anything. Maybe we'll just, put on the brakes for now. And I think the innovation obviously is here. We just need that to happen. And I hope that whoever's listening to this is listening to that, is that we need that pushed forward,
Yeah, absolutely, Jon. And I agree with you. I think we are going to see some movement in 2022. I mean, heck, we did see some in 2021, baby steps, remote ID, right? Ops over people at night, moving vehicles, and globally, a lot of things happening, right? In Europe and Asia.
Yeah.
So great stuff, great stuff. Well, listen, thank you so much for taking the time. And I'll have
Absolutely. Again,
I have to tell you, Jon, one of my best moments of 2021 was meeting you in person for the first time in I think it was at AUVSI in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And that was absolutely spectacular. So looking forward to a lot more of that in 2022 as well. And in the meantime, happy holidays to you and to yours.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful new year. We'll see you then.
Okay. Thank you so much, Don. Appreciate it so much.
All right, out here. Hi, everybody. We are so lucky to have with us here Sharon Rossmark, CEO of Women in Drones, to talk with us a little bit about this past year. So, Sharon, welcome.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Our pleasure. So, what, in your assessment, was the best development for the industry in 2021?
Well, that's an interesting question. And when you say best, it's hard to pick one, but I'll go to the one that I think is probably more impactful than a lot of people realize, at least in the space of aviation. And I think the vocal stance that the FAA has taken in support of the value of diversity, I think this is one of the greatest developments of 2021.
Awesome. I love that. They just changed the NOTAM, acronym to be from Notice to Airmen to Notice to Air Missions. And, one example, they held a diversity and inclusion summit. Totally agree. It's so wonderful to see the FAA stepping out and really looking to make some changes that is going to open the aperture to so many people for aviation, and including the drone and advanced air mobility industry. So awesome.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. I think it speaks volumes for the FAA to take that public stance about diversity, and for two reasons. One, I think it moves us all closer to the initiatives and programs that they're intentionally putting in place that you just spoke about around inclusivity, right? I think the fact that they're establishing and encouraging FAA employee programs, I think speaks volumes, as well as their hiring practices in support of having the FAA workforce more diverse. So I just think that they're on the right track and that they're leading by example.
Well, and that's huge, right? Just, you know, to walk the talk and not just be putting out new acronyms, but actually doing things beyond that. I mean, just, you know, again, props to the FAA there. Absolutely. So what's your prediction for 2022?
Well, you know, I think we're at a unique inflection point in aviation. We're seeing an increased number of entrepreneurs coming into the industry, which puts us at a crossroads of obstacles and opportunities in terms of impacting the growth of the industry. So I would give you two. One is I think that we'll see more emphasis on safety and standards. I think it's going to be a given just because the skies are getting more crowded and they will continue to get more crowded, particularly as we develop AAM. But I also think that the industry and business as a whole have started taking the whole UAS AAM effort seriously. And we're seeing greater number of industries, not even just businesses, but industries adopt the use of drones across the board. So I think the two are tied hand in hand. And then I'll offer you a third one for what it's worth. I think that we'll also start to see, because of the mergers and acquisitions, a greater support of an ecosystem that's definitely needed. Right now, we've got entrepreneurs that are out there kind of soloing and trying to figure it out. I think we'll see more of an ecosystem to support more entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. That is great stuff. And fingers crossed that all of these things that you're talking about actually happen next year. I mean, we're crawling, we're walking, you know, at some point we'll be running, but looking forward to it. And Sharon, thank you for everything you're doing. For everybody out there, I'm sure you know, Women in Drones has done incredible things this year. You know, Women in Drones Africa is launched and going strong. And the Women to Watch Global Awards program was the 5th anniversary year and kind of kicked it up a notch, to use the words of Emerald Lagasse. You know, going to CES 2022 for the honoree program here shortly in Vegas in early 2022. And just so many other things, you know. I'm your biggest fan. I'm your hugest advocate, and I really thank you for everything you do for this industry, Sharon. Happy holidays, happy New Year. I can't wait to keep working with you in the new year and moving that needle forward. So thanks for everything.
Yeah, and thank you for your support. I appreciate your ambassadorship of Women in Drones and for me personally. So thank you so much. Happy holidays.
Hi, everybody. We have with us Ed and Attias from Delta Drone International and Aaron Gabriel from Parazero. If you recall, they sponsored the month of September, which was our Movers and Shakers month, and it was absolutely spectacular. Great to have both of you back. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Don.
Pleasure to be here, Don. Thank you.
Absolutely. So we've been asking everybody the same two questions, and I'm going to ask you, as you reflect on 2021, what would you say was the best development in the industry? And let's start with you, Eden.
Well, interesting. Maybe I'll deal with not a technology development, but more of what's more interesting me, which I think is more challenging for the industry. And this is kind of a business. What is the right business? What is the business model that will win? And it seems like, and that's kind of the move that we've done, and we see others that doing it. It's on one hand, it's consolidation. On the other hand, is tendency to services that provide an end-to-end solutions. So you come to a customer, it's not just you sell a drone, you sell a subcomponent or a pilot, but you come with the whole package and try to solve this problem, which means you need to have in-house the pilots, the training, the regulation capability, and the needed technology. Some of it in-house, some of it you can bring from other customer. we decided to be technology agnostic in the group that we created in Australia, and that's the way we operate in Africa, in Australia, and as well in Israel. And I believe that that's kind of one of the takeaway for this year in the industry, which I believe we'll see this model moves ahead.
That's awesome. That's really different than what anybody else has talked about in this podcast, this idea of the best business practice of 2021. Thank you for that perspective. That was amazing. Aaron, tough act to follow there, buddy. What is your assessment of the best development in 2021 in the industry?
I'm going to go with a tech development. So I'm going to go with Israel-based Tevel Aerobotics. They make autonomous fruit picking drones. Very, very interesting technology. I think they just got a big funding round, so congrats to them. Very cool tech.
I mean, we've seen technology jump leaps and bounds this year, you know, and that's probably a great transition into 2022 because as we know, you know, with that curve, we're just going to see more and more and more of that. What would you expect to see in 2022? We'll start with you, Aaron.
I believe 2022 is going to prove to be the year of advanced drone ops at scale globally. You know, obviously with the FAA Ops Over People rule, I think we're going to see some traction there. We're also going to see traction in Europe and other parts of the world, enabling advanced use cases at scale. I think that's my prediction. The second half of 22.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of R&D happening right now, as you mentioned, especially in Israel and in Europe. You know, I think about U-Space and some of those Gulf of Finland trials that are continuing into the new year. Lots of great development. So I'm hopeful that you are correct there, because that's what I want to see too. So Eden, what would you say about 2022?
Well, in many ways, segue to or continuation to what Aaron said and to my addressing your previous question. For us, you know, every year we believe that we're gonna solve it or gonna overcome the challenges next year. It's a matter of year. It seems like this is the year. Again, I think we should look at the end of the year and maybe early 2023. But it seems like we have the needed infrastructure, the needed mechanism to overcome flights over people, flights in urban environment, that it will become almost seamless. That's what the industry is waiting. The technology is there, the needed infrastructure is there. We just need to, you know, public acceptance and some other challenges. So crossing fingers.
Absolutely. And Happy New Year to you both. I can't wait to see what Delta Drone International and Parazero bring to us next year, because I know you both have had a banner year in 2021, and looking forward to working with you again. And in the meantime, happy holidays. We're out here.
Happy holidays. Thank you.
Happy holidays. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, we've got here with us Ron Leach from Leach Consulting and also the Urban Low Altitude Transport Association, or ULTRA. And so Ron, so great to have you.
Oh, my pleasure. Yep, Leach Strategic Partners. Yep, that's my company, but the alter ego I have is with the Urban Low Altitude Transport Association with my partner Ray Adams, and you grace our board as well as a senior advisor.
Absolutely. And I know there's going to be big things in 2022, but before we get to that, let me ask you, what would you say was the best development in the industry in 2021?
I like the remote ID rule because it signals to me that the FAA is finally getting around to understanding that the pros in the field are going to comply with the rules and regulations that are out there, and they're educating themselves. It's not this, you know, the wild, wild west that we had before 107 came out. So I like what they've done, dropping the waiver requirements for responsible pilots. And it looks like they're working on the land system as well, maybe downsizing some of those boxes and allowing more access to airspace. I really love it. I think it's a great idea.
It'll be interesting to see, Ron. There's going to be about 10 other people or so if anybody says remote ID. So far they haven't, but you know, to your point, this idea of advancing the regulations, absolutely, you know, moving forward is such a huge thing. And we saw quite a bit of that this year, right? It wasn't just remote ID, it was operations over people and at night and moving vehicles launched on the same day. So good stuff, and hopefully more of that. So great segue. What do you expect to see in 2022?
The way I'm seeing things is the FAA is really lightening up. I'm hoping maybe we'll see some movement on BVLOS in a limited capacity out in the fields if somebody can demonstrate their safety case. What I found since this is go back to the FMRA of 2012 when the FAA really didn't have their arms around this whole issue of this technology entering into the airspace. They've really evolved pretty well. Where they're starting to revert back to more like the manned aviation, traditional aviation rules as far as what they're rolling out for the rules. So I'm hoping to see some movement in, you know, loosening of the regulations, and maybe, you know, with even with the flights over people, it's still somewhat limited where you can't cross highways and some other areas like that you might want to get some footage of, or part of an inspection, you know, as well. If you have to cross a highway, you know, you got to land and cross the street and, you know, resume your operations without having the authorization to do that.
Absolutely. So I'm just going to ask you, what can we expect from Ultra in 2022?
We got a couple things we're going to be close to the vest about. We're waiting to hear. Hopefully, we'll hear something from from New Jersey. We want to try to move the ball forward, get those people who don't care about drones or really don't understand the technology, to get them to come to the table, maybe get some state interest in what we're trying to do. And we're also look for us to team up a little bit more with David Heath and the PA Drone Association across the river there.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm a Philly girl, so yo to David and PA. Obviously in Colorado now, but hearts in Philly, you know, in a certain respect. So that's why I think we get along so wonderfully. You know, our Jersey boys and
Absolutely.
our Philly girls, we got to stick together.
You dig our beaches too, so.
I'm a mountain girl. That's why I went up in Colorado, but Poconos all the way.
Yep.
Anyway, so great to see you again, Ron. Thanks for taking this time. Happy holidays to you, to Ray, to the rest of the Ultra team, and can't wait to work with you again in 2022.
Thank you. It's great to see you too. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas, and best wishes to everybody in the outfit there. Take care.
Out here. Hey everybody, we've got with us Mariya Taranovska from FlightCrowd coming to us from the UK, and FlightCrowd has done some amazing things this year. You had a naming contest, you have, you know, players of the month, all kinds of things going on, education you're pushing out. It's been so fun to watch you. So let me ask you, from your perspective and where you sit, what would you say was the best development in the industry in 2021?
Hi, Jon. Thanks a lot for having me. It's incredible to be here. And thank you very much for continued support of FlightCrowd. That is a $1 million question. Oh no, actually, the $1 million question is what's next. But probably looking
That's
back.
That's my next question. So we'll get to that.
I'm getting ready. So no, in terms of best developments, put it this way, I think I want to look at it in categories. I wouldn't just say one event. I would just say, let's think about three things. Finance, of course, you can't avoid the money side of things. Briefly touch upon all other elements outside of the actual eVTOL manufacturers and the manufacturers itself, the design and the progress. And so very briefly, so of course we're seeing at the moment over 500 eVTOL designs are registered on the VFS website. How many of them are going to make it to the market? And indeed, we are seeing some extraordinary designs. You know, your Zero Avia with the tail sitting eVTOL, and you've got your sort of Superman style traveling. You've got your X-Turismo hover bikes. You've got your Slovakian Claim Vision air car. You've got all sorts of visions. I'm not here to really judge the designs, but what I'm saying is we're having a lot of diversity of thought, a lot of creative individuals that are populating this space, and who are keen to bring their visions of future aerial transportation and bring them to mass scale and make them reality. And of course, we're seeing some of the leading eVTOL manufacturers flight testing their vehicles and setting some of the new records. You know, Joby Aviation flying for 77 minutes, or demos in Bali, demos in Seoul by EHang and Volocopter. I mean, indeed talks about the industry going to geographies that haven't even, and regions that haven't even yet been built, such as the Saudi Arabian UAM. I think this is incredible. You know, if we can bring a new industry into the environments that don't even yet exist, I think this is really, really exciting for me. In terms of investment, again, as I've mentioned, I think it's incredible to see how much money is being poured into this industry, because surely we're going from hype to hope, from hype to reality. Right. And but indeed, you know, just reflecting how the year started with, say, EHang stocks doubling in price, and then what we're seeing at the moment, I think there's quite a bit of uncertainty. And yes, of course, there are still companies such as Vertical Aerospace who are still planning to be listed on the market. Of course, there's still a lot of that, you know. Is this a long-term sustainable option? Are SPACs really the way forward? Is this just a 2021 trend, or indeed is this a long-term way to really get yourself set up and get yourself sustainable and funded? And indeed, very quickly going to the idea of indeed investment in all other parts outside of the vehicle manufacturers. I think it's really fair to say that the AAM ecosystem will fail unless everything else, all other bits and pieces, such as the infrastructure, are funded. And so we're seeing, skyports looking to establish their networks across Italy and the LA and South Africa being considered as a region, and urban airports looking at Munich and the UK. Again, we're seeing loads of development around the world. And it's really because AAM is a system of systems, and we really need that system of systems approach. And we need so many different elements to really come together, so that it would be just unwise to keep only financing the aircraft development. So really everything should develop in harmony for me, and underinvestment in any of these parts can potentially jeopardize all previous efforts. So I'm just excited for everything going on. Probably that's a bad answer, but
I love your perspective, because I'll be honest with you, like, as I think back of all the guests we've had on this this series for this particular episode, I'm going to go out on a limb and say they were all US based. So, you know, you're giving us this global perspective that so many people in the United States don't really have, right? Like the things you were talking about, Saudi Arabia and South Africa. I mean, that's absolutely phenomenal. And to see all that movement in the advanced air mobility space globally is incredible. I mean, a couple of those companies you mentioned, they're US based, but you know, we don't own the market on this, and I love your perspective. So having said that, the $1 million question, as you put it, what do you predict for 2022? What do you think is going to happen?
Oh goodness, I think I would have to probably go back to my idea of investment in all other parts of the AAM ecosystem. And really the need to say, look, we have put so much money and effort into developing the technology behind the vehicle, behind the electric power. What else do we need to do? And again, we've seen the development in Ireland, for instance, where Vertex Air are planning to open a dedicated facility by year 2023, looking to educate, to train operators for piloted eVTOLs as well as remotely piloted vehicles. I really hope that we'll see more of that we'll see more investment going into the supply chain, not just the vehicle operations, into training, into future workforce development, and indeed into public engagement. And for us at FlightCrowd, we view public engagement as a challenge that really requires a global support, a really collaborative effort. And yet the investors won't see immediate ROI, return investment, but long-term, trust me, that outreach will really ensure that we have the regulators and the governments, apologies, who will favor the aerial mobility. It will ensure that we'll have our industry's workforce, from engineers to pilots, everyone being there ready and really sort of helping us build the industry. And also we'll have the end users, because isn't it that, you know, isn't the general public the one who we are building this future for anyways? So for me, hopefully there will be much more emphasis put on public engagement and just everything else outside of the, I guess, the retail operators. But everything that's going on is exciting, but hopefully a bit more emphasis on us as well.
No, I love it, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what you do with your colleagues at FlightCrowd. Like I said, you really were soaring this year. I expect to see even more, and I'll be cheering you on and looking forward to seeing all of that. So in the meantime, I just wanted to wish you a happy holiday season, wonderful new year, and we will see you in 2022.
Thank you so much, Jon. Absolutely have a great Christmas, and I'll see you next year.
All right, out here. Hey everybody, we've got with us here Jon Damush from Iris Automation back with us. If you guys recall, he sponsored November, which was Innovation Month. What a great month it was this year. And Jon, we're taking this time to reflect on 2021. So what do you think was the best development in the industry in 2021?
Yeah, this is a tough one, right? Because it actually kind of boils down to two things for me, and they're both acronyms: SPAC or ARC. The 21 certainly saw SPAC activity in aviation and an influx of private capital, the likes we've really never seen in our industry. But I'd have to lean on the ARC, actually, and here's why. Not necessarily because of the recommendations that are being compiled and that will be supplied to the FAA. Those are going to be great. Like, that's going to advance the industry, but more that the ARC was a bit of a forcing function for some hard conversations across the aisle, so to speak,
right.
That really hadn't been happening in any meaningful way in our industry in the previous 5 years. There's always been the legacy camp of aviation, and there's been the new entrants. And I think, the last few months have certainly forced an integration and a collaboration across those teams, and in a really healthy way. So I'd have to say that's probably one of the most significant things of 21 for the drone industry writ large is that sharing of information, that diverse group of people, and the ideas that flowed out of that were collaborative and all marching towards a goal of maintaining the safety of our airspace system as we see it today, but also allowing new technologies and businesses to come into it. So there's my answer for that one, Don.
All right, no, that's a good one. So what's your prediction for 2022?
Yeah, again, I'm bifurcated on this. I think from the small UAS side, I think we're going to see an expansion of the use cases that have a direct and obvious public benefit. The pandemic certainly showed us that, hey, drones can really help us in a lot of areas, whether it's medical delivery, emergency response, law enforcement. I think you're going to see expansion of those use cases because what's happening is the operators are getting more experienced, right? It's not a toy anymore. It's actually part of their operations. It's getting integrated into their ConOps and their workflows. And that leads to a better level of rigor, oversight, repeatability, reliability, and ultimately safety. So I think that's one good side of that. The other one is those operations have also allowed the regulator to kind of look over someone's shoulder and say, oh, okay, that's how you're doing that. And oh yeah, the thing we were so afraid of in terms of risk actually didn't really materialize, or it did materialize, but the consequence of it was much, much lower. So I think, small UAS, we're going to see more of that. And I think some of those start to pave a path for more commercial use operations, because the commercial applications of drones are quite adjacent to these public benefit use cases. And the public benefit gives the regulator a pathway to allow broader scale ops. And I think that's going to be good for the industry in 2021, and maybe even allow some people to go make some money, which would be awesome for our business because we haven't seen a lot of that in the last 5 years.
Yeah, well, that would be awesome. And I'll tell you what, this time next year, I'm going to be asking you the same question. And maybe when you look back in 2022, you'll say, see, I told you so. And
yeah,
I hope
or
that
boy, was I full of it. Yeah, one way or the other, there's going to be an observation.
Only time will tell, indeed. But in the meantime, Jon, thank you so much. Happy holidays. Happy New Year.
My pleasure.
And
thanks for the invite.
We'll see you again soon.